going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackowitz. This is the Caged Review, and I'm going to review The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 3. I couldn't do a live reaction again this week because my computer died on me. The fan went out, and so I had to go buy another laptop. And I'm still getting everything put together with that because I literally just got it 2 days ago. So, hopefully next week I'll be able to do the live streams again, and because I really liked the first one for Season 9, Episode 1. It was cool to interact with people and talk about The Walking Dead. It was really fun. But getting to the show, you start out with Justin, the savior who was kicked out of the camp by Rick Grimes last week, is now a walker. He's dead, and I initially thought that was going to be the Whisperers. Well, we found out that that is not the case, and we'll get into that in a second. Then you have this nice conversation with Rick and Michonne. Rick is awake. It just shows him starting out the day and picking fruit and stuff, and then he starts talking to Michonne, and she's busy planning the future, making the rules for everybody in the communities, and Rick, says, I can take a break for a day from the bridge. Why don't you take a break from doing this? And then he says, we can do other things to plan for the future, and so they, of course, have sex. And then you get Jed and Maggie. They're at a cart. Maggie's bringing in some food for the saviors who are working on the bridge, and Jed is a savior who's kind of a prick. He's kind of like Justin. He's still got the savior mentality, and he's kind of pretty aggressive towards Maggie. Instead, he just takes a tomato, and there was a small group of saviors that were with him, and they all say, you know what, let's just go on about our business, and so they do. And then Rick and Michonne, Judith has caught a little cough, so they want to take her to see the doctor, and they promise her a day to go out and play, and so there's this nice little sequence where you see Rick and Michonne playing with Judith, and it was cute. But that's interrupted by someone bringing news of Justin, and that he is now dead and a walker, and they want to know what happened and who did it. And this leads to an immediate confrontation with the saviors. The saviors, they feel like maybe the other groups are still wanting to kill off the saviors, and they feel pretty threatened, and so it causes what was really close to a big brawl. Carol was out there talking to Jed, who was the guy who started the confrontation. Carol pulls out her gun, and then everybody else pulls out their guns in the communities other than the saviors, because the saviors don't have guns. And then Rick shows up, and everybody kind of disperses. So you can see a lot of big tension building here. And then you get Maggie and Rick. Rick is, trying to explain that it's hard for him sometimes to be the nice guy and to want to help these people after everything that happened. But it's basically the living versus the dead in this new world, and he doesn't want any more dead. And so Maggie kind of seems like she understands that. And then you get a conversation right after that with Rick and Daryl, where it's kind of the same type of conversation, where Daryl's really questioning things, and Rick is basically saying, just give it a chance. I mean, after all, you didn't kill me, and I cuffed your brother up to die. Rick and Carol has a conversation after that, and this is where you see in the initial trailer that we watch, where Carol's saying, I just wanted to end it before it begins, talking about when she pulled her gun out. And again, supporting Rick in his decision. And a lot of this is conversation leading up to the big split, you can tell. There's a lot of frustration you can see in this. And you get another quick Daryl and Maggie conversation, and then that transitions into, you see Anne, who is the leader of the, I just call them the garbage people. She's the last one left. And she kind of feels very threatened because initially, when Justin died, everybody thought it was Anne, and she had a lot of good reason to want him dead. And so she's on she's on a walkie-talkie with somebody, you don't know who it is, and Gabe followed her, and so there's a conversation about what she's actually doing, and it looks like she's trying to sell people out for food and supplies. So Gabe says that he has to let Rick know, and of course she hits him, and it kind of cuts away, so we don't know exactly what happened there. And then you get a sequence right after that where Jed, the savior who's being an ass, he kind of guerrilla attacks Carol and sticks a knife to her throat, and then Rick shows up, and it was really weird because in this situation I feel like it would have been, it kind of merited Carol killing Jed. Instead, she has this little pocket knife. Jed's got a blade at her throat. She stabs him in the leg and then turns around and stabs him in the chest. But not in the heart or anything. And then Rick says, to somebody that was with him, go ahead and try to fix him up. And Carol looked at Rick and she says, every life counts. So at what point, it's kind of a conundrum, because at what point does every life count work to the detriment of what they're doing? Because some people, just like in our own society, you can't fix. You can try all you want, they're not going to come around. And so they're dealing with that now. And people like Jed and Justin, who are just not willing to be a part of the group, and they're just kind of psychotic in their own way. Like in my personal opinion, like if I truly was in this situation, they'd be dead. I'm sorry, I got no time for, if it comes down to my life or their life, it's my life every time. Which is kind of a bleaker outlook, but I mean it's just the way it's just the way reality is. When you do stuff like this and you're nice, you're playing with fire, because being nice can come back to haunt you. So at the very end of the episode, you have the Oceanside girls, who you find out here in this sequence are the ones killing these people. They're the ones who killed Justin, and now they've got another savior down on her knees. It's one of the females who was killing the husbands and sons and brothers of the Oceanside girls, and Maggie and Daryl show up, and they're like, this isn't going to happen. And then the Oceanside girls start explaining how this girl was just a sick, psychotic freak who was killing people with a smile on her face. And it turns out that, this kid who was like, I think they said 16 years old or maybe even 12, they were talking about how, this girl was reciting Negan's words and saying no exceptions. And that really hit Maggie and Daryl. And so both of them, Maggie and Daryl, just turned and walked away from the scene. And the Oceanside girls stabbed the savior through the head. This leads to two things. One, the very next clip, you see the saviors walking away from the group. Rick is there, and all the saviors are just leaving. So that causes huge problems right off the bat. And then the next thing is Maggie and Daryl are talking to each other. This is like the ending of the episode. And they say, we tried Rick's way, now it's time to try it our way. Let's go find Negan. And that's where it cuts out. And so now you have to assume that Maggie and Daryl are going to kill Negan. Now I don't think that's going to work, but you never know. So, I mean, it's a huge, huge thing that just happened here, because now you have a separation between the original people who, were surviving together. And it's caused a major rift. And it sounds like Maggie and Daryl, maybe anybody could kill Rick at this point. It could be Maggie and Daryl, it could be Negan, it could be the Whisperers, it could be anything, it could be zombies. So it's really interesting to see how this is going to play out because it's building up a lot of different angles for what might happen to Rick. And I think they're doing that intentionally. I'm sure they are. Because we know it's Rick's last season and we want to know what happens to him. And literally you could go any direction with this. I did like the episode and I really liked the cliffhanger at the end because Maggie talking to Daryl saying that they want to go after Negan now really sets up where something's about to go down and something big. So, I was a fan of this. I really was. I mean, if I had to give it a number out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7. Just on the storyline that they're building with it. It does build a lot of intrigue, which, is important for keeping the series interesting and wanting to see what happens next week. I think the only thing that really I'm not really interested in yet is the Anne situation because I don't know that it's really explained what she's doing exactly. I mean, I know it gave us the, kind of a big idea, but we found out that it was the Oceanside girls that were actually killing everybody. So, there is some question there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going on. I think it's a 7 out of 10. I really did like the show. Hopefully I can live stream next week because I like doing that better. I like being able to talk about it as it happens while things are fresh and be able to interact with people. So I will try to get back to that next week. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what it is for now. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Cage Nation, out.